Hello humans, welcome back. Part 2 of the Jay Turser display. Our last video, we discovered that the pickup would not fit inside the faceplate. Using painter's tape as a guide, the hole was cut a little larger. Using a Dremel, a couple different bits were used, along with some files and scrapers to get the edge tidy. Then it was untaped and the pickup was given a trial fit. And here we have some satisfactory success. Here we go with more disassembly. I'd like to point out at this point that I'm not a professional. I'm just a guy with a bunch of cheap guitars, and I'm trying to make them more playable. I don't get paid to do this, but I'd like to show in these videos that anybody can get in and make some stuff happen. There's not a lot of mystery when it comes to working on these instruments. And a lot of times, a person with a few hand tools can do better work than what occurred in some of the factory assemblies. I originally had a more in-depth scope on this project, so my disassembly was a little more drastic than necessary. But anyway, it was good to get into the guts of this thing. Here's the bridge. I hear that these can be upgraded. A lot of people upgrade these. This is kind of a wimpy unit, but at this time it's satisfactory for our purpose. This Jay Turser is seeing its third pickguard applied to this instrument, and so I opted to, at this point, to fill in all the holes and start fresh. And so here we go, using some tight bond wood glue and some toothpicks. I pretty much felt like I was committing acupuncture on the instrument at this point. And now on to something different, as we'll let the tight bond cure out, dry. In the last video, we discovered some hairline fractures within the poor choice of woods that Jay Turser used. So I'm going to take some thin superglue and wick it in at these areas. My theory is that the superglue will saturate into the grain and strengthen these areas to prevent further cracking. Here you'll also discover that I really need to start using tripods and stop struggling so much with handhelds. As we wait for the glue to dry, we'll set it aside, step back, take a look at our progress, and now we will set the mind's attention to the neck. And yes, that includes more disassembly. I don't think I mentioned, but this is the Jay Turser 300m series. I think you can go on the website and still purchase these. I don't know what they're going for these days. I bought this, 7-8 years ago, on a whim, on a rainy day, impulse buy. I think I paid $100 for it at Apple Music. I was actually trying to get out of the rain, and while I was there, I saw this. I just picked it up. Here I am collecting all of the hardware. Note that I'm sticking it in this container here. Some guitarists, to patina their stuff, will fill this with chemicals when waiting for the build to give it an aged look. I won't be doing that here. And getting back to Apple Music here in Portland, Oregon, I believe they closed their doors. Wherever Jay Turser gets their necks, they actually do a fairly good job. This neck is pretty adequate. The only thing I really don't like is this high gloss finish that they've applied. Here you can see the light reflection. And then, yes, so we're going to change the headstock just to offend any purist of the Jay Turser trilogy. And here we go. Something had to fight me. My bandsaw, the wheels, I had a broken one, so that puts me on halt until I get parts in. With a change of subject, we will create some Luthier Tools. This is a fret dressing file, basically a triangle file, smoothed out on the edges. This is for checking the straightness of a neck. This is basically just a ruler that I've cut down with a cutoff wheel and a file. Here you can see me checking. Each side you can utilize for different scale lengths. The cost of all of these tools is probably under $30 at this point. Here we are creating a leveling beam from some scrap that we acquired. I'm going to create two, one long for necks that are not attached to a body, and a shorter one for instruments where the neck is bolted or glued to the body. And here we go. This is the smaller one. At this point I haven't measured it out. Oh, and here is my far out workbench, secondary workbench. Some might be familiar with this car from some of my other videos. This pick guard that we'll be using only came with one hole, so we will be drilling another hole for the both volume and tone. Once again, painter's tape, holding down our faceplate, and a small shim to protect the table. I'm drilling a pilot hole, and then a meditative slow drill of the plastic to the final diameter. This pickguard has its shipping plastic still on top of it, so I did not protect the area around it. I found this very meditative. I don't know why. Yeah. I don't remember where we got this, but these pots, this circuit, here we go. Notice I've put the tone near the pickup for easier usage. That's my preference. And there's our setup. Notice I ran into a hiccup here. This pick guard does not match up 100%. You always trial fit stuff before you start gluing and screwing and whatnot. For shits and giggles, here we are testing the DC resistance on this pickup. It measured out quite high. I thought maybe I was doing something wrong, but then I went on to the Ibanez website and found that this was the way they came from the factory. The original scope of this project, there was a plan to respray the body with lacquer. Under investigation, this finish is creating its own patina, and I'm going to just leave it alone and reassemble. And here I will let my ego fly and remove all the lacquer or finish from the neck. Some will disagree with this. I've done this before. There's me doing this on another build, my Affinity Telecaster. I would not recommend this to everyone, as you're removing the finish, the protective coating, and you could easily damage the fingerboard. If you're going to do this, you really need to take care of your instruments and give them regular maintenance. For a cheap guitar, the side dressings on the frets was excellent. Note the orange peel in their finish. Some of my viewers will remember this instrument and wonder when I will finish it. The tools that were put together in this video will aid in giving it a proper setup. When the Jay Turser 300M is finished with its mods, the Squier Affinity will go back on the bench. Thank you for hanging out. More to come on the horizon. Take care, my friends, and nurture and share your individual kindness.